guys escape from the shoe shine, leaving the Cosmopolitan now. The Chelsea Theater I just saw. The Zurdo Ramirez and Joe Smith battle. And guys, that scorecard was complete bullshit. I'm telling you, I've got plenty of footage of Joe Smith landing clean and effective, head-snapping, sweaty shots off of Zurdo. I am completely happy, though, that Zurdo Ramirez finally looks like he can throw his punches again, and I'm excited to see if he could be competitive and potentially line himself up for a title opportunity at full cruiserweight against somebody like Opatai. There's Tony Weeks in the background.
It's time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shine.
¿Qué onda, vatos locos? Damas y caballeros. It's your boy Dave from the Shoe Shine coming at you all the way from Sin City. And joining me all the way from the city of brotherly love, Philly Irish, Drew Evo. ¿Qué pasa, homie? Oh, he's got 5. No, he got 10. That's right. 10 is the exact number of the wins that my team, the Bang Bang 49er Gang, and the Philadelphia Eagles have combined. Undefeated champions. That's the way I see it. And Drew, congratulations to the Eagles for being undefeated, 5-0. It's really nice to have a show that features 2 great undefeated sports fans. And guys, if you have not been catching up on our new football show on Wednesday nights, make sure you do so. Make sure you check that out, where Drew and I give our football picks of the week. Shout out to everybody joining us. Chicano Prophet, I see you. I appreciate you. By the way, Drew, not sure if you caught that in that video, but I got all starstruck over Tony Weeks, okay? And I even lost my voice a little bit this weekend because it was actually a great birthday weekend. And my birthday's this middle of the week, guys. So tonight, I might be a little off game. Not only did I party way too much this Friday and Saturday, but I got a bunch of events to go to, not only Friday and Saturday, but I got some stuff to do in the middle of the week for my birthday too. So we'll see how we squeeze in this football show. My voice is a little rough. I see Rhonda Walker already saying congrats to the Chiefs for their win. I know, Rhonda, I just wish that you were sitting up here on our undefeated crowns at the moment. Oh, it feels good. Feels really good. Shout out to everybody joining us, 702-710-3627. Why did I get excited to see Tony Weeks? Drew, I got a picture with him and I posted it on Instagram. I forgot the guy robbed the old Venezuelan fighter in the Rolly Romero fight right there at Cosmopolitan. I forgot how crooked Tony Weeks is, Drew. I got excited. I'm like, I'm going to go talk to Tony Weeks, and I forgot to ask him, bro, what about that call that ended up with Rolly Romero becoming the 140-pound champion? So, yeah, even I got a little starstruck this Saturday night. But let's get into these amazing weekend of fights, Drew, because it started off in the daytime on the Zone. Lee Woods versus Warrington in an absolute banger. It also featured women's boxing, Cecilia Breakhouse and Terry Harper, that resulted in a draw. I don't know about your feelings about that one, but that fight on Saturday afternoon, the way it ended in a 7th round spectacular knockout, that was one for the books. It could be one of my favorite stoppages of the year. Thoughts on the main event, Drew?
I knew that Warrington was going to get knocked out. I just looked at it. I don't think Warrington is really that talented of a fighter. I just don't understand how he keeps getting fights after fights after fight after title fight after title fight. It's ridiculous. Like he lost the title fight before, then he got another title fight. I just don't get it. But hey, when you got someone as Eddie Hearn backing you, and they need to make something up, might as well do it, right? But I think that I thought this was an easy fight to look at, but hey, it's just Warrington should not get no more opportunities at titles right away.
Yeah. Actually, I want to give before we get too deep into it, if you guys don't watch Pro Box TV, we have our one of our favorite columnists on here often, Lukey Boxing at ProBoxTV.com. And you guys can watch their amazing Wednesday night fights. Of course, the legendary Paulie Malignaggi and Chris Algieri behind the microphone. This past Wednesday, I was at a fight years back, Drew, and I saw Malignaggi versus Pablo Cano from Mexico. Pablo Cano fought a guy that recently fought Brandon Lee. Tough kid from Philadelphia. I don't know if you remember. He's actually from New York, but trains in the Philly gym scene. Well, he was the main event against Pablo Cano this past Wednesday. I saw the fight on YouTube. I swear to God, Pablo Cano at 147, Drew, still looks like he can give a ton of people some serious fights. And then it turns out on Thursday, I did the roundtable with Joe Habib and D Styles. And Roberto Diaz of Golden Boy, former matchmaker extraordinaire of Golden Boy, he was on the show. And we got to talking afterwards on Twitter. And he's promoting Pablo Cano. And he's telling us, me and Lukey, that after that performance, he most definitely sees some big fights on the horizon for Pablo Cano. So shout out to him. I thought he was a lot older because he had fought Paulie. But no, he's 34. And he had a spectacular knockout. He might just have the best knockout of the week. I was debating it, but if you didn't see that, Drew, go back and watch it, guys. Go look for that highlight, Pablo Cano on a knockout last Wednesday. Excuse me. Let's talk about this Lee Woods knockout, Drew, because it came out. It looked like Warrington had been in his usual physical self, rabbit punching, being extremely aggressive, headbutts, coming forward, lunging, using all his strength, and he's a strong boxer. Quite honestly, I think El Venado Lopez just had enough of him. It was a very tough win, one that surprised me that he was given that nod and given that title. That being said, you just mentioned he hasn't won very many fights in his last performances, 5 last performances, right? What's his record?
Forget his record, but he's a dirty-ass fighter.
I seen that tweet once or twice on boxing Twitter for sure that he is still a dirty fighter. But maybe he comes to fight. But that knockout that was set up, Drew, they said that Lee Woods was having a lot of trouble making the featherweight limit this time around. But he looked spectacular, and he's pulled out victories like this before. We saw one of the most amazing fights, him and Mick Conlan recently. El Venado Lopez has gone through Conlan. He's gone through Warrington. I can only think of one guy I want to see El Venado Lopez fight right now. And it's not our boy from Salinas, California, Ruben Villa. And it ain't the golden medalist over there at Top Rank. I want to see him take on that one fighter he hasn't fought, that great English champion in Lee Woods, man. What do you guys think in the chat? Lee Woods versus El Venado Lopez. Can Lee Woods do what he did? I mean, I just saw Venado Lopez have a less than lackluster performance recently. What are your thoughts on a potential matchup between those two champions?
I think Lopez wins the fight. I think Lopez knocks out Lee Woods. Lee Woods in this fight. Like I always said that Lee Woods is someone that is set up to be knocked out again. Like he was against Law and everything. The rematch went into his favor because of outside bullshit with the British Control Board to not allow him to cut no more weight because they didn't like the way Law was cutting the weight. And, it's just, you got the luck of the draw to get his belt back from him. But I don't think Lopez will have a problem with Woods. I don't, and I'll be honest with you, I think the fight should take place in the United States. I don't think Woods should have the home turf advantage this time around.
Yeah, I see some new faces in here. I appreciate people coming in. Of course, Drew's holding it down. Thank you, Fight Doctor. Walk with Rhonda. Graphic One, nice to have you. I'll be seeing you this weekend. A lot of people coming into town this weekend. I'm excited. Hopefully, I got my voice back. Thank you guys for joining us. And by the way, if you guys want to call, the phone line is open, 702-710-3627. Help me out because I'm feeling it, Drew. It's kind of rough. I don't want to talk about it, man, but I'll be honest with y'all. There's a couple things that have been happening in my personal life. One is I lost a family member. I told Drew I lost a very young cousin of mine, not the baby cousin, but the second baby cousin. And I did a little bit of crying this past week. I'll be honest completely with you because my cousin was only 22 years old. And I never thought that we would be affected in my own immediate family over the fentanyl crisis. And Drew and I are from major cities, San Francisco, and Drew sees it every day working in Philadelphia, the fentanyl crisis. And I'm really surprised that we're going to be having a burial in my family over fentanyl. And just so you guys know, you don't have to be a heroin addict to succumb to fentanyl. It's in everything, guys. So if you have a family member or a child that's dealing with addiction issues, or a relative or a friend, I know it's hard. It's easier said than done to say don't give up on them because it's very difficult dealing with addicts. But truly, if there's something you can do, fight the battle with them to beat this addiction because it's now even affected my household. So it could be that I cried too many tears this past week, and I'm sorry for losing my voice. That being said, Drew, if you guys are into prayer, I appreciate if y'all send a prayer my way. Thank you so much, Tony. Yeah, it's real out there, guys. The fentanyl crisis affecting everybody. We got a caller, Drew. Well, don't take this call right now. Let's take it. By the way, guys, it'll be a short show today. We'll be done really soon. We're going to get to all the big topics and then the fights coming up this weekend. Yo, the 925, Big Dog Lukey.
You already know. You already know.
You're here with Philly and I. Philly and I, this big fight, the one we're talking about right now, the featherweight fight. Lee Woods looked like he was in trouble early, but how does he keep doing it? How does he keep pulling these spectacular knockouts out of thin air?
I mean, guts and determination, but let's look at it a different way for you, me, Philly, Drew, and the rest of the people. I want to also take a second before I answer this and say I send my sympathies out to you and your family, and you're part of my Monday nights every night when I'm home, and all of us are a community. So don't feel weak, don't feel sad. Know that everyone in the boxing community stands behind you. We love you, and you're a part of what we got going on. So I want to say that first and foremost. Back to the boring boxing stuff.
Because we're boxing nerds. Appreciate
Lee Wood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's important, right? It's important because a lot of times we forget we're a bunch of men who are nerds about boxing that love boxing. And we don't go to elementary school. We don't go to high school. We don't meet people anymore. So when we can meet people and have these relationships based on what we love, it's beautiful. And we need to really, say that type of stuff. But to me, I'm looking at this all different. With Lee Wood, I'm seeing a gradual deterioration. So he's had a great run, but I'm seeing a highly beatable fighter who's having performances that are showing you the decline, that are being dressed up and masqueraded as, oh man, this is a generational fighter. I think he's one of the most exciting fighters. If he was out of Lowell, Massachusetts or Boston, Massachusetts, I think the whole world would embrace him. He'd be like a new Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward type guy.
Right.
But we're looking at a guy who to start off the year got knocked out bad by Lara, then outboxes Lara, then he was getting outboxed by Warrington, then lands a punch on him, knocks him out. I'm seeing the accumulation of a lot of hard fights, and I think any top-tier 130 guy maybe Joe Cordina may or may not be that guy, but whether it's Shock or they're going to beat him, bro, because he's at the end. He's got like 3-4 fights left, bro.
That being said, looking at the current featherweight champions there, does the Top Rank stable entice you to maybe do a cross promotional fight like we've seen Evanalo Lopez go and fight Mick Conlan? I like him right now. I'm favoring him because of the styles of fight that they could produce. But is that a fight that's feasible?
I mean, none of these guys really make money, so all these fights make sense. When guys make money, fights don't make sense. To me, I'm expecting if Joe Cordina beats Vasquez, we will get Lee Wood versus Cordina, because they're both with Matchroom, and it's a fight that can be in the UK, and it would be a who's the best European guy. And I feel like Matchroom doesn't really want to promote Lee Wood because they're not really promoting him the way that my buddy Dakota would promote him and say he's the most exciting fighter. So I think this might be a chance, if what I'm seeing is true, that you could get Joe Cordina, a guy I think Matchroom wants to promote, attractive guy, Olympian, good fighter. Maybe that's how you get that guy in a star main event role, if there is that slippage there.
Drew, have you seen much of Joe Cordina on DAZN? He's an exciting lad.
Yeah, but I look at it like this. I think Matchroom's not trying to have one of those two go to the States to fight. It's a big disadvantage. And they won't have all the cards in their pockets and everything. Like, they won't have the British board of, whatever the hell you call
BBOC,
that.
I think.
Yeah, the BBOC, whatever it is, to start his corruption up and everything, because they've been, a lot of cards we've been questionable by then. And I think they're really something that's bad for boxing. And I think a lot of foreign fighters do not want to go to the UK and fight. But I think as long as Eddie Hearn can keep Lee Woods over here and not have to have unifications with like Lopez and anything, because I said it before, if they go for the unification out of Lopez, I think the fight will end up in the United States. I just don't see Lopez bending towards them. So, we're going to fight overseas. We're not fighting in the UK. We're fighting overseas and everything. I particularly think I should pick where the fight goes. And I think that fight will ultimately fall apart because both sides will not agree on where the fight goes to. I think Eddie Hearn will say, hey, I want the fight in the UK. And Lopez will say, hey, I can't have it in the UK. I do not trust the British board. And a lot and everything. They could come up and say, hey, you can't lose weight anymore. And then I'll lose the weight, I'll lose the belt on the scale. And everything. So I don't know. It's a lot of complications when it comes to 3 fights. Like Lukey can say that they're not promoting Lee Woods. They probably not promoting him as good as they did to Josh Warrington at one point. But tell you the truth, he's still technically a Matchroom guy. He has the belt. He beat Warrington. Now they got to see how far he can take him until he loses, which I think is probably depending on who he fights next, maybe in the next 2 fights.
Looking for Josh Warrington, who hasn't won many of his fights or almost 0 fights in his last 5 outings. Very tough, competitive warrior spirit. Him. Does he still have a contender status, or is he now a gatekeeper at the featherweight division? And do you think moving up to 130 would help somebody like him? Because when I saw him fight Alvanado, I thought he was busting at the seams. He's a very strong fighter. Luke, you still here? I just got a text
Yeah,
message.
yeah.
Oh, I just got a text message. Sorry.
What fighter was that? I missed the name of the fighter.
Josh Warrington. Where does he go from here? Is he gatekeeper status now?
I mean, just fun old guy fights. You know, he sells a lot of tickets. Put him on cards with Ebony Bridges. You know, she knows how to sell things. He's out there. You know, there's always going to be young fighters who want to prove themselves, and he's always going to fill a building. And people forget he beat Carl Frampton, who's a very, very good fighter. And he had a really, really amazing run in 2019, which surprisingly is a long time ago now. I don't like thinking that it was a long time ago, but it was a long time ago. It's always been 09s. 09 to 2012 felt longer than it, or shorter than it did. Now 2019, always the nines catch you like that. But it's an observation. But I mean, Warrington's going to be a guy. I think honestly, he's a lot better than people think he is. He's a guy that's keeps saying, I'm like Collinsworth right now. He's a guy. Maybe I'm fighting off a sickness because I'm repeating myself. But Warrington has a really good coach in his father, and he's got Maxie Hughes and this really, really solid group of guys. And he does get knocked out. Like, he's gotten knocked out by Lara and stuff. But other than that, he's like neck and like he's right there with everybody. So, I mean, yeah, he's lost a couple of fights, but I mean, he's not the best guy. I don't know what you guys think. I think Robesi's the best guy at featherweight, and we're kind of just biding our time for Robesi to fight Inoue. Kind of the way I look at this division. Like, okay, Inoue, can you do that fight in December? Maybe I'll wake up, maybe I won't. But I want to see the result, and the result's going to say, oh, Inoue wins and moves up, and now it's Robesi. And then that's kind of the guy that we think is the best between those two. And I kind of expect guys to get out of Dodge, Ray Ford to fight the guy that was supposed to fight would be the WBA fight, etc. But Warrington's going to have fights with guys. Like, I can't think, like, is Hopi Price a featherweight? Or is he a lightweight? Because, like, if Hopi Price is anywhere near Josh Warrington's weight, he's getting near 12-round fights over the next year. That's an interesting crossroads fight. And I get so I said a whole lot of words to get back to the original question you asked, but I think Warrington might be marketed as a gatekeeper, but I think he's a little bit better than a gatekeeper. And I think he also has a style. He's dirty as hell, and he's tough, and he's rugged, that a lot of blue collar people are going to want to tune in and watch the guy fight.
I still like, well, I'm not gonna lie. I like watching him fight. Nando Lama says Lee Wood needed the BBOC skullduggery to beat Bronco Lara. Oh man, Drew, your final thoughts on Warrington? Usually with so many losses, people are like, it's time to wrap it up. But he didn't look like he's faded.
I'm not really a fan of Josh Warrington. I really think when I was watching him fight a couple times that if he can't box really well, he's not going to keep nobody off him. And that happened with Law. Like Lopez, like it really did. And I just don't think of him as a good boxer. And because like when I saw him get knocked out before, and I saw him lose before, he couldn't keep those pressure guys off him because he wasn't that good of a boxer to outbox them off of him and to keep landing, and they were just to be able to walk into him, walk him down the whole time and everything. Warrington is a gatekeeper. That's what he is now. He probably does sell in the UK, but other than that, who the hell has heard of him? And at the end of the day, he's just a gatekeeper now. Like, what else can we say about him? And I know. Me saying this, people are going, oh, Drew don't get prompts to fighters and everything. And they try to say some false shit about me, and then they get emotional when I call them out and everything. And about the narratives and everything. I'm trying to give fighters props more now, but he's not getting props from me. He's a gatekeeper.
I want to give a shout out to my homeboy Fonzie619 in the chat. He brought up a very good point. It's off subject, but then at the same time, I'm thinking about it. I just got a text that the Raiders upset the Packers. Well, it was supposed to be a very close game, and they pulled off the victory. So shout out to everybody who's a Raiders fan. Of course, they played today here at Allegiant Stadium, and my homegirl Michelle and Nick are there. I know that they were going to the game, so shout out to them. But Fonzie brings out this point. He says, what I find is amazing is that De La Hoya is calling out other promoters to put up their best boxers with his boxers. And Lukey, I found it really interesting news, his dream fantasy matchup for Super Bowl weekend in Las Vegas. Everybody's been talking about that Sphere. I think you mentioned to us that you'll be going to the U2 show at the Sphere, and everybody's talking about what an amazing venue it would be for boxing. And now Oscar's proposing this mega fight, 4 huge fights, Super Bowl weekend. The minute I saw that Ryan Garcia was supposed to headline that and on Super Bowl weekend, I thought, does he really think he's going to get past that guy Duarte, his own stable fighter? Like that presumes that he's going to come out of that fight unscathed, for one thing. But how much of this Oscar De La Hoya is just a pipe dream for a super fight like that, Super Bowl weekend in Las Vegas?
Well, I mean, look, guys, we're a bunch of grown men on telephones talking to mostly men on the internet. This is the just saying stuff era.
Yeah.
And we got a couple of females, so shout out to the females. And I think the promoters kind of understand the era we're in. It's the just saying stuff era. You know, if there's a big enough media, and don't get twisted, I've been part of this problem. I'm not a big media personality at all, but I can somehow get in the building and people think that I'm important or something and tell me something crazy, and I'll make a crazy headline because I like getting paid. And I mean, that's really like, they'll see a big outlet, pick any outlet that anyone in the chat, where do you go to get your news? You can put it in interactively. They'll see that entity, and one of these people one day might go, you know what? I'm just going to say some stuff. And then that, by just saying stuff, that becomes a topic. Like Teofimo versus Tank. Who in the industry has ever said that that's true? No, it's just something that just got said. Ryan Garcia wants to fight the Sphere Super Bowl weekend. Yeah, it's just something that De La Hoya just randomly said. You know, this is just the way boxing stuff is consumed is just saying stuff. The tangible, real, in my opinion, more interesting content.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as interesting as saying like TMZ gossipy things.
Right.
So like these promoters are learning, like you look at Eddie Hearn, he'll say a bunch of stuff that's like going to just be far-fetched because that's what people want to consume. People don't want to consume what Steven Espinoza often says, which is, hey man, I can't do the deal. I can't tell you about the deal until the deal is done. Things are promising, this, that, and the third. You know?
I do know.
That's not as fun.
Shout out to everybody that's coming to Las Vegas this weekend, guys, or coming to Las Vegas before this Formula One Grand Prix race that they're going to have, guys. I know I was earlier, shout out to D-Style, and they're going to be doing the 3-year anniversary of the Roundtable. Wow. Damn, that seems like yesterday. 3 years, how fast time goes by. 3-year anniversary, I believe it'll be on either D-Styles. D-Styles over here, put it up which channel it's going to be on, because that's a big milestone, 3 years. But if you're coming to Las Vegas, guys, I got a bone to pick with Oscar because we got a fucking email this Saturday morning that the fights were being moved up to an earlier start time or whatnot, or the doors would open at 2 o'clock. It was really freaking vague. All right. Earlier, I had seen that the main event would probably come on 8, 9 o'clock, which is standard in Las Vegas. And sorry for all the East Coast fans. Y'all got to stay up until 11 o'clock, midnight to watch these freaking main events. It took us 2 hours to move about 7 miles to get to this damn Cosmopolitan, guys. I literally just made it for the main event. And I was pissed because I paid pretty good money to have awesome seats to sit with our friends. And I had to watch the Janibek fight on my phone. I saw the knockout. And as soon as I saw the knockout, I looked at my wife in the Uber that we had been in for Lord knows how long. And I'm like, I'll be damned. I might end up watching this fight in the Uber. That's how fucked up shit is on the Las Vegas Strip. Thank you, F1. Thank you. And I don't know what they had planned after for the venue, but the main event starting around 7 o'clock. Did you all have like bingo booked or some shit in the same venue? Because it was crazy. Like we was pissed drunk and it wasn't even 7:30 and they're like everybody out, which was really strange to me, Drew. But we made the best of it. We made the best of the night. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that happened to you. It was my birthday weekend, so my girlfriend took me out to a 5-course.
Happy birthday! Happy
dinner.
Belated birthday to all the Libras right here. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but I mean, boxing has this weird way of sticking it to the fans. Like every other business is like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna listen to the customer and hear out what you want. So if you don't want to be treated like cattle and forced to the fight, and you paid lots of money for this great fight card and you barely just get to see one fight and you have this awful experience, like in any other industry, they'd be like, how can we make it up to you? In boxing, it's a dictatorship where they're like, yeah, this is what we're doing. If you want boxing, you got to come to us. If you want the fights, we're going to tell you the ones you want to see. Like no other. This is why we struggle as an industry. We have pretty bad customer service, and we never listen to the fans.
Ain't that the truth? But let's get into that Saturday night fight. Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy Promotions at the Cosmopolitan. Janabek, Beck the Bully, knocked out by Drew's hometown guy, Gabe Rosado, has been on a spectacular streak. And I was listening to your podcast earlier today, Lukey, and I really want to think about this, but how close is he for us to start having Canelo Alvarez in the same conversation? How many fights away or performances like the one we saw this weekend is he before we start discussing him in that lottery pool? Drew's shaking his head already. He said, Dave, you're crazy. Is he too one-dimensional for you, Drew? Let's start with Drew. He's shaking his head.
I think it's like 5 years at least, man. I just don't think he's ready. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Let's go down the list right now. Plant beats him, outboxes him, maybe stops him if he catches him. Andre beats him too, maybe stops him too. Benavidez stops him. Canelo stops him. What else?
Berlanga and Munguia. Let's talk about the guys at the zone. Berlanga and Munguia.
Those two are fucking, like, what the fuck are we, like, Berlanga's a hype job. And I think, like, let Berlanga fight fucking Hyman Munguia. Let them fight each other and let Hyman knock him out. And let's see if Hyman's actually going to fight someone next. And I think, because I'll tell you the truth right now, I think all those guys beat Hyman Munguia, but I think Hyman Munguia may beat the Bully.
And those are feasible fights. I mean, right? That's in-house. That should be a no-brainer. Lukey, you've seen him against these fringe prospect guys like we did this weekend. No disrespect to him, but I mean, we've put him in there with the Munguia or Berlanga, who also has a huge knockout percentage. How does he perform against that tier of guys?
Against taxi car drivers.
Just that's the only people he beats?
That's Edgar Berlanga, man. Knocking out those taxi car drivers, and then after that, he hasn't knocked nobody out.
Lukey, you still with us? That's a great thing. Lukey's still here on the phone, but you think?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm still.
All right, awesome. Drew thinks he can only beat these cab drivers. He's calling them cab drivers to being derogatory.
Are we talking Zurdo or who?
Oh, Zurdo too. Shit. I Beck the Bully, the co-main. Is he only knockout cab drivers or real contenders?
No, I'm talking about Berlanga.
Oh, okay. But what about Beck the Bully? That's where I'm talking about Beck the Bully.
Beck the Bully's gonna. To tell you the truth, I don't think Beck the Bully beats all these guys. Maybe Berlanga, but I don't think he beats Munguia. I don't think he beats any of these guys I mentioned, man. Like Beck is just too goddamn. say about Beck, man. And I'm trying to
he's
get
like
people.
Ivan Baranchyk.
That's who he reminds you of? A gunslinger like Ivan
Yeah.
Baranchyk?
I mean, I like guys like Beck the Bully, right? Maybe
Yeah.
he won't be a world champion. Maybe he's gonna have like 6 knockout losses, but he's gonna make some wild fights, and he's gonna be shot at some point way too soon. So it's like he's gonna come forward. He's gonna throw a lot of punches. If I were a matchmaker, and I'm not a matchmaker, I'd put him in with guys like Caleb Plant. Put him in with boxers, guys that you think are gonna be in boring fights potentially. Because he's going to make them interesting, because he's awkward, and if he hits them, it's going to be tough. And if he gets outboxed, who really cares? Because you're not tuning in to see a good record. You're tuning in to see a madman who just loads up on punches and does weird stuff. So, like, I don't hold Beck the Bully to this standard of he's going to be a Hall of Fame fighter. I'm tuning in just to see a wild, reckless guy who has a haircut that looks like it's from Dumb and Dumber. Punching guys stupid hard. Like, he's just going to hit people really, really hard. And if he hits you really hard, you're going to be hurt. And if you land a punch on him, he's going to be really hurt. And I think there's a level of excitement to watch guys who are that reckless. Like, those, I don't know. Like, I enjoy those type of fighters.
I do too. I've enjoyed Jaime Munguia from the get of his career, the beginning of his career. Jaime Munguia is, to me, one of those throwback fighters that I wasn't too worried if he takes a loss. So at some point, I think it would be befitting for Oscar to throw Janibek to Munguia if Munguia is looking for.
Look, Beck the Bully should fight. I mean, there's so many different options that you could put him in. The fight I'd kind of like to see, and it's like a mismatch kind of, I'd like to see him fight Diego Pacheco. But I think Diego's just on a different level. But I think that would be a good introduction for, like, wow, how good Diego is. I think another good fight is Christian and Billy, because they kind of just run at each other. But like you said, the more losses Beck the Bully takes, the more feasible it is for him to fight a Berlanga and a Munguia. And is it really going to change anything about his mentality? The guy seems crazy. So he'll probably be like, oh, man, I was winning the fight until I wasn't. That'll never happen again. So I'm not even worried if he loses, because I don't think it's going to alter anything about him.
Here it is, guys. We're going to move on to that main event. Zurdo Ramirez versus Joe Smith Jr., the blue-collar union guy from Long Island. 2 former world champions. Now campaigning at the Jake Paul weight class that I like to call the 190-pound division that doesn't exist, but it seemed to have benefited Zurdo the most, to be honest. Now, as a spectator, guys, Lukey, Drew, I got to tell you, these punches were slow. Like, Zurdo typically looks slow. He looked very slow against Bivol. But sitting that close to the ring, which is a great thing about at the Cosmopolitan, these punches were slow. It didn't look like it looks like on TV to me. I don't know. I don't know where these guys go. It was a very close fight. In fact, I said it on my video earlier today that I saw Joe Smith catch Zurdo with a lot of heavy shots where the sweat was just flying off his face. I think he did more than what the scorecards represented. I think he could have easily have picked up 4 rounds. I'm going to start with Drew. Drew, did you see the scorecards? Did you think it was that wide? Some people had it 9-1.
It wasn't wide. It was not wide at all. I don't know what fight these guys are watching. I thought Joe Smith came on late and everything, so I had it 6-4.
Yeah, somebody asked me what I scored it. In fact, everybody sitting around me was yelling draw. There was a lot of supporters of Joe Smith, his family members, and he actually had some supporters that flew from the East Coast that were yelling draw. It was a close fight. I didn't see it this wide. But what does it mean? These guys, Lukey, what does it mean? You wait, it's 190 pounds. This guy, Opataya, put on a phenomenal performance in his, first or second defense. He's beating Brady's. Where, in the grand scheme of things, I can only see these guys fighting the winner of this fight, fighting the aging champion, the guy. Drew, what's his name?
What are you talking about?
The European guy used to work with TMT. Lukey, you know what I'm talking about, right? The TMT fighter? Cruiserweight champion?
Tabiti?
Hmm?
Like Andrew Tabiti that used to be with Mayweather? Is that who we're talking about? Or are we talking about Badu Jack?
Badu Jack. Thank you so much. Because Badu Jack is
Badu
actually from
Jack.
Amsterdam. He's from Amsterdam. I always think he's an American fighter, but he's from Amsterdam.
He's from Sweden.
Swedish. My apologies.
So if you look at, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Zurdo looked like shit. Like, I don't think. I tell you the truth, man. Zurdo's gonna get his ass kicked again. Like, I just don't think highly of Zurdo anymore. Like, since that fight with Bivol, man, he's falling apart. And then he goes up to 190 to fight Joe Smith. Like, I don't think Zurdo is going to be winning a belt at cruiserweight. And if he does, probably a vacated belt at most. But I don't see him I don't see him beating Bottom Jack.
But we've got people in the chat here saying that that's actually a great fight.
Like, I don't think
I scored this fight. I don't care.
Lukey, the idea of him fighting Badu Jack, who has won multiple, titles and championships at these different weight classes. I'm not sure even who promotes Badu Jack now, but I like the sound of it. I do, because these guys have fought light heavyweight before, divisions and whatnot. They're two names we kind of know now that even casual boxing fans might know.
I mean, look, I'm a Badu Jack fan, but I try my hardest to not watch cruiserweight fights. I really try my hardest to not watch cruiserweight fights. They're typically really, really bad. This fight looked like a guy in Joe Smith who got a call kind of late notice. He was like, yeah, I'll fight at 190, cool. And Zurdo looks like he's fighting at 190 based off of convenience. Like, it's just like, it's a comfortable weight to make. Belly looked soft at the scale, which is concerning. And here's the thing for Zurdo. He's going to get an opportunity, because ask the chat, most people who just watch boxing only know 2 cruiserweights. Most people that write about boxing only know 7 cruiserweights. If you're too good, you have to go either up or down. If you're a cruiserweight, you have to either go, if you're a lower cruiserweight, you got to go to light heavyweight to be relevant. And if you're a talented one that's a little bit bigger, you got to fight at heavyweight.
Like
it's one of the only divisions where you get a promotion. If you're too dominant, it's like the world's like, actually, we don't want to watch you at cruiserweight. It's kind of like no man's land. Go up, fight at heavyweight. Even if you lose, we'll still respect you. And even though we never saw any of your fights at cruiserweight, we'll talk about how you were a cruiserweight legend. Just every cruiserweight of my lifetime. Like David Hay, I didn't really see many of his fights. Like, I watched a couple, but like, I'll have people tell me about his illustrious cruiserweight career. I remember like 2 or 3 Showtime fights. Usyk, like, I tried to watch his fights, but they were never on. Holyfield, like, I think I was a little young to miss the cruiserweight part. But like, beyond that, it's like, I don't know. It's like, normally you get guys like Steve Cunningham or Thomas Adamek. It's like, I never watched those careers, and then they come to heavyweight and people will say, it's like the same thing about Keyshawn Davis, right? Watched a lot of Keyshawn Davis's international fights to a degree.
Right.
Yet somehow these DAZN broadcasters or ESPN broadcasters will always tell you about how they watch so many of Keyshawn Davis's fights in the amateurs. Where, bro? Are they jumping on these USA boxing streams with me at 2:00? Like, there's not that. I think I watched 15 Keyshawn Davis fights, and they were all through Parkway Video or through international. It's just regurgitated nonsense. Like, what I'm saying is, like, these guys aren't really watching these fights. They just know that people are telling them that they're good, so they're expert guys. So they go, I've seen a lot of Keyshawn Davis international fights. Oh, who did he fight in the finals? Well, it was Andy Cruz, but they'll probably say it's Andy Gonzalez. I mean, John Gonzalez. I mean, like, they don't fucking know, right? They don't know. They don't care. They're just saying stuff. And it's the same with cruiserweight division. Like, the cruiserweight division is no man's land. Most rational boxing fans, if a cruiserweight's fight is on, they'll probably turn it off or they'll watch the highlights. And then if a guy's really winning, you start to care. And Zurdo being in this division, he'll get a fight because just nobody really cares about this division. And what happens? I don't really care. I really don't. Like, he seems pretty uninspired. He's not looking amazing. He's not looking bad.
They're really trying to
don't
get
care.
Oscar and Zurdo are really trying to get a payday because today they mentioned Canelo Alvarez that as if Zurdo's going to win one of these titles at cruiserweight, and then he would like to offer the fight to Canelo at whatever the weight class that would be. He's shaking his head.
Let me ask this to the chat. Did Zurdo put on such a performance that you just feel the need to see him fight Canelo? Was that a statement performance where you go, man, I wonder how that fight would look if he fought Canelo?
Hell, I'm shocked it was just a 10-rounder, to be honest. I'm over talking about it. I do hope Joe Smith goes back to light heavyweight, though. I think he did fairly well coming in at 190, but I think he has no business at cruiserweight. Drew, do you think he should go back to light heavyweight?
Yeah, but I'll be fucking honest with you. I'll be honest. I don't care at all about fucking Zurdo Ramirez. Seriously, I don't fucking care about it. Like, most cruiserweight boxing is actually very popular over in Europe. It's bigger in Europe than it is in the States because a lot of the champions, a lot of top 10 fighters are in Eastern Europe or in Europe in general. It's always been like that. And unless you got, with Steve Cunningham and everything, Tomasz Adamek and everything, even though Tomasz Adamek is actually Polish.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching him, by the way.
In Jersey City, New Jersey, but I look at it like this, not a lot of cruiserweight. Like, there are cruiserweights that can adjust to the heavyweight division, like Usyk, Hay. Even Steve Cunningham, you could say, adjusted to the heavyweight division. But there were some that couldn't adjust, like Marco Huck, a decorated cruiserweight multi-time cruiserweight champion, and apparently one of the top 10 best cruiserweights of all time from Germany. But when he moved up to heavyweight to fight Alexander Povetkin, he maybe was kind of short-ended on his decision. It could have went either way. But when he fought again, when he took another fight at heavyweight, he did not look so good. Moved back down to cruiserweight, and he loses again. So I don't know. I think Zurdo has to campaign at cruiserweight now because, tell you the truth, the way that he tried to make light heavyweight last time and the way it just went downhill, you apparently got no choice but to fight at cruiserweight. But it also leaves you and your promoter at a big disadvantage because when you go and fight these guys that have titles, you're no longer the A side. Your guys are going to have to go to Europe and fight these cruiserweight champions.
I'm telling you, Opataya went to the UK in his last fight, didn't he?
I just don't see it. I just don't see. Here's the thing. Zurdo does not have an A-side advantage in this division.
Not without a title. Not unless he beats somebody like Badou Jack. I think he gets stopped by that Opataya young champion, Samoan champion.
He does
from
not
Australia.
beat Badou Jack. And I think anybody that thinks he beats Badou Jack, you're as emotional and delusional as guys thinking I need to give fighters prompts.
Listen, if Nando Lamas is correct, we need to move on from this cruiserweight conversation. He says cruiserweight is the cure for insomnia, and Chicano Prophet says Nando Lamas, ain't that the truth? So maybe we should be done talking with cruiserweight. There's a couple guys that are at cruiserweight, Drew, that aren't ranked. I'm talking one of them is Julio Cesar Chavez. I mean, at this point, I can see Zurdo fighting him at 190 pounds.
Does he still fight?
I mean, we saw him in that crazy fight with the mixed martial artists. He picked up a loss there. But to be honest, I don't think those guys are too far apart skills-wise, to be honest. I mean, or at least where they are in their career. That wasn't like Lukey said, and thank you very much, Lukey, for joining us. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel and check out his book available on Amazon. Make sure you check that out right there because the holiday season is coming up ahead. I'm ready to move on from it. But Jake Paul fights at 190 pounds, Drew. He's talking about, I want to fight Canelo. Fight that dude first, please.
I don't care about Jake Paul.
Nobody cares about the middleweight division. Jermall Charlo has been inactive for 2 years. Carlos Adames is the WBC interim champ. And this weekend, I find out at the last minute that Janibek, top ranks middleweight champion, is fighting an Italian, German-born IBF champion. Did you even know that there was an Italian, German-born champion that has one of the titles, IBF? He just picked it up in July. That's how little I've been keeping up with the middleweight division, guys. He goes by El Capo, and we're going to see him make his U.S. debut, Drew. And I actually started watching tape of him today. And maybe he doesn't have a lot of knockouts, guys. 7 knockouts. Vincenzo Gualtieri, German-born, coming to the U.S. with his IBF title he just beat off of Falcao. Falcao, F-A-L-C-A-O, guys. I think that's a Brazilian Olympic medalist that actually helped prepare not Jake Paul, but the Diaz brother in that fight, Drew. That was his sparring partner. That guy, Falcao, F-A-L-C-A-O, however I pronounce that in Brazilian. He's the guy that was the sparring partner for Diaz in that fight he just had with Jake Paul. And he was the one that said that Diaz was absolutely had an abhorrent gas tank for the sport of boxing. But that guy, they fought for the vacant IBF title, and this guy picked it up, bro. And he's coming to fight in the U.S. on Top Rank and see if he can give Janibek trouble. And based on what I've seen from Janibek, I wouldn't be surprised if this relatively unknown Italian fighter this weekend picks up an upset and becomes a unified champion, basically unknown to everybody, unknown to you, I'm sure. Maybe you don't even know about Vincenzo. Is it possible? Is it possible? I got to look at the odds. By the way, Keyshawn Davis is the co-main attraction now. He'll be the co-main on that event.
It is possible that this guy boxes Janibek all night and avoids Janibek's big punches and everything and neutralize it, but it's highly unlikely because this guy would have to do it for 12 rounds.
Yeah.
But Janibek hasn't really looked spectacular.
No, that's what I'm saying. I've watched the tape, and I could pretty much say this is a 50-50 fight. Oh, I got this. Your name, Lukey's name over your name. I apologize, guys. This fight is straight up 50-50, to be honest. I'll be watching it. It'll be on ESPN Plus Saturday night. But the fight that everybody's really going to be interested in, guys, is this fight Saturday. I got to find out what time this fight is, Drew.
So
yeah.
It's like this. It's plus 850 if you pick the upset.
And the upset is the Italian fighter, Vincenzo?
Yeah. So let's do it like this. Let's say if I bet $20, I win $190. Now let's say
That's
if
not
I
bad.
bet $100, $950.
Damn.
So anybody want to take that plus 850?
Y'all go watch it. Go watch the tape. Most of the tape on him is against European level opposition. But when he has stepped up, and when you saw he fought, like I said, the medalist Falcao, he beat him by unanimous decision. So anything could happen. He picks up these 2 titles at middleweight, and he's got a good argument to fight and unify against the WBC interim champion, supposing Jamal never comes back. This guy can go from relatively obscurity to getting a shot at Canelo, because I won't be surprised. The way things are going post-Canelo, this fight we just seen, I won't be surprised. This conversation and rumors that Carlos Adames might get a crack at Canelo, and I wouldn't be surprised if somebody from 160 pounds gets called up to fight Canelo at some point, even though it's not the fight we want to see. This is a fight I want to see, by the way, guys. Tszyu versus Brian Mendoza, the Mexican-American from Arizona, who now lives right here in Las Vegas and trains not too far from where I live under the tutelage of the great Cuban coach Salas. Drew, he's already been down there, Drew, acclimated to the Australian time zone and all. This is a super fight for Australian fans, one that Brian Mendoza is... While you have the odds, can you show us what the odds are for Brian Mendoza pulling off an upset?
It's like this. If you're going to bet on Mendoza, it's plus 450.
Not too bad.
So he's a plus 450 underdog. And I'll be honest with you. if you're going to look at the Janibek fight to potentially make, just to take a hell of a bet, tell you the truth, put $20 down. How much I think you win like good. You've been like I think it was like one night, like 190. If you take the plus 850 with the upset of Janibek. Now if I was the Mendoza fight, Brian Mendoza.
Yeah.
It's a 450 and everything. It's taking place in Australia. The more likely bet to go through is probably Mendoza if you're taking plus 450 and everything. So I'm gonna look at it like this. If you're gonna go to the Janibek fight, I will probably bet that fight goes the distance.
Unanimous decision for Janibek.
Goes to a decision. So let's see how that goes. I gotta look at my odds again. So let's look at that. Let's look at the Janibek fight. Fight lines. Winning method. Janibek win by decision or technical decision is plus 250. Draw 2,000. If the other guy wins by decision, is plus 1,200. So let's do this. You bet that. Plus 1,200, you bet the 20, you win $260 with the decision. But if you bet the plus 250 with Janibek, it's $70. But let's say if I want to bet $100 on that, with Janibek winning by decision plus 250, that's $350 right there, guys, and everything. Now, where the fuck is it? Let's get the fuck out.
Chicano, by the way, says he misses being your bookie. Now you got your own DraftKings.
Now we got Tszyu 250 for winning, but Mendoza is the thing. Mendoza is a plus 450 underdog in this fight. If he wins by decision or technical decision, it's a plus 1,100.
He ain't getting no decision. We know that. Let's talk about that, Drew. He can crack. Okay, but when he fought our boy Jesus Ramos Jr., Mendoza struggled to box with him, and he got outboxed. Now, Tim Tszyu, he's handled that Harrison. He handled him expertly fighting the boxer. So we know that if Mendoza tries to box with Tim Tszyu, I think Tim Tszyu has gotten really good at cutting off that ring, and it's not going to work, which means he's going to have to fight into a dog fight, which worked out for him against a Towering Inferno, and he could crack. So somebody's getting knocked out. It's most likely going to be Brian Mendoza's going to get stopped, but that's not to say Tim Tszyu's chin hasn't been tested by someone who can crack right back at him.
I will be honest. I think the better bet of this weekend, here's my lock. I will bet the Janibek fight by decision.
All right. Janibek by decision.
I will bet. That's the lock bet. I will bet. If you bet whatever you want on it, that's my lock of the week. I think it's Janibek wins by decision.
Yeah, this is a big task for Mendoza. A task that Devin Haney had to face himself to go pick up that title at lightweight against Cambosos. This is something that Brian Mendoza welcomed to go down there. It's not going to be easy on the scorecard. It wasn't easy for Manny Pacquiao when he went down there and fought Jeff Horn. Tough task, guys. Obviously a tough task. But we got people like Nando saying he's going to basically tear Mendoza down to the frame, Drew. Is that likely?
Yes.
Tim Tszyu stops him? The pressure?
I think Tim Tszyu wins this fight by decision.
Damn, you think it goes the distance, huh?
Yeah, I think it goes the distance. I think it's going to be like a 9-3 fight for Tim Tszyu. I wouldn't even touch that fight. If you're trying to bet on a fight, I wouldn't touch that fight. But the Janibek fight, like this, I would bet the decision on that fight. I wouldn't bet the other guy. I wouldn't bet the upset, but I'll bet the decision for Janibek. I think Janibek could have. I saw the dude fight before. I think Janibek could have problems catching him.
Yeah.
So I would say, what is it, 250 plus 250 for a decision, Janabek decision. So you would get money if you bet money. So I would take that bet.
Yeah, I promised everybody that we would have a short show tonight. I wanted to cover all the topics. We had our boy Big Dog Lukey come on here. And actually, I'm disappointed I started the show so late, guys. I know it's hard for people on the East Coast to come on and pay attention to this. As I mentioned, it's my birthday week. Drew's birthday is coming up ahead. It was Lukey's just now. We got a big weekend. We're going to try to squeeze in the sports show. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, so you know when we're going to do our football show. Shout out to the Raider Nation. I can't believe they did it, and shout out to Nick and Michelle who went down there to tailgate and enjoy the game. Good for them. They picked up this very important win that they needed. The Raiders needed to pick up this win. Drew, as far as it's Brian Mendoza, man, I tip my hat to him and the Team Solace for going down there. They're going to have a tough challenge ahead of them. He does have the skills to win this fight. He does have the power to win this fight, but it's going to be a war. And I actually see this fight going in the direction that he's going to taste the canvas. He's going to definitely touch the canvas at some point in this fight. He may survive it, and it may be a decision, as you said, but one where he faces potentially 1 or 2 knockdowns. He's a tough guy. But what I really hope to see is Brian Mendoza crack Tim Mendoza and exchange knockdowns. That would be some badass shit right there. That would be a badass fight down under in the land down under in Australia if they exchange knockdowns this Saturday night. But I do have Tim Tszyu winning this fight. And the only question I have for anybody who knows in this chat, because I can't keep up, is if that WBO strap is up for grabs. Did they strip Jermell Charlo this past weekend? Did they take that one title away from him?
Yep, they stripped him.
All right, so this is for the vacant belt?
Yep, it's for the vacated. No, actually, it's not for the vacated belt. Tim Tszyu was elevated for a champion.
Oh,
so
he's the champ. Just for what? He didn't even earn it?
He's making the defense of that belt.
That's some fucking bullshit. Sorry, guys. I'm not monetizing.
That's why I say email champion.
Oh,
Tim Tszyu.
Man, that's some BS, dude. It should have been vacant. The winner is the vacant. I hate that shit. I hate when they do that. Oh, by the way, a shout out to Nerd. Thank you for joining us. He says Salas is on a losing streak. Yeah, a pretty monumental losing streak, especially with that Joyce knockout recently. In fact, we mentioned it on this show that there was rumors going around that came. Well, it's not even rumors. It came out of Zalil Zhang's mouth that he had a mole in Salas's camp. So I myself wonder if that same mole is exchanging and selling information down to Tim Tszyu people. If there's a mole here in Vegas and he's been watching Joe Joyce leading up to that fight that just happened a few weeks back, he had to have been watching Brian Mendoza too. So I wonder if there's any truth to that.
I don't know, but you kind of stayed on code. Last time I checked, there's nobody Australian on the show.
Man. So y'all enjoy that fight. Whatever time that fight is, it says Sunday, right? Sunday? Is that right? What does that mean? It's going to be on really, really late in America in this, Saturday night? Yeah. Drop it in the comments, you guys. If you guys know, I'm gonna watch it no matter what. I want to watch that shit live. I remember watching the Pacquiao Jeff Horn fight at a bar live, and that was a lot of fun. So Brian Mendoza's got a tough challenge, and I tip my hat off to him as a local Las Vegas resident myself. I appreciate everybody that sent those wishes when I revealed what happened in my family. I wasn't going to, but it's been bothering me, and I appreciate that support. Drew, wrap it up, homeboy.
Fight doctor's trying to give me his reviews on Viagra. I didn't know he was that old.
Man, I'll tell you right now, I've been telling a lot of people, if Drew and I hit the big time and get a sponsor, I will take that Blue Chew sponsorship in a heartbeat. I got a homeboy that has that affiliate on his channel with Blue Chew, and they get paid Skrilla. Remember that word? They get paid handsomely, Drew, off that Blue Chew endorsement. Shit, I'll take it. All right, Drew, any surprises this weekend?
No surprises. I'm probably going out Saturday night, and that's about it.
All right. Well, I hope you have a beautiful weekend. I'm going to leave you guys with another video. I forgot to tell you guys. Drew didn't take up my homeboy, this comedian, speech impediment man, on this Vikings versus Eagles bet. a bet Drew would have won, I think, $100, Drew. And I got some comedy clip of him. I'm going to show you guys what he was doing on Friday on Fremont Street, downtown Las Vegas. He came to town. I always support his comedy career and help him get gigs whenever possible. I'll leave you with this video, Drew, and you let me know if you think he's funny. Let me know in the comments if you guys think my boy still got it and should still do his comedy. Here we go, guys. We'll see you guys next week on the Shoe Shine, and this week coming up on our football tailgate talk. I'm Dave from the 702 now, Philly Irish. Peace out, Drew.
I went to the doctor. I go, Doc, my eyes hurt when I have sex. He goes, Jeff, that's only the pepper spray. And I go, what machine do I have to work out with to get one of these girls? He looked me straight in the eye and goes, for you, the ATM machine would be good. I'm 63 years old. I'm living in my fucking brother's basement. I'm running around with blue type. You think anyone wants to fucking go out with me? Hell no. Last night I was with a girl. She goes, I want you to come on my face. So I climbed on top of her. She goes, what are you fucking doing? And I go, well, I'm too old. I can't throw ropes. It's got drip in your face.